Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And because I just love my co-host so much, trivia theme is the NBA. You like that?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay.
Although I did well with some of your other, ones that you threw out there at me.
Actually, you did. I tried not to make them too ridiculous because we don't want to embarrass anybody, and like to keep it light here at Sports Econ 101. So there's a whole bunch. I don't know if we're going to get to all these things, but I'm just going to go down the various list. Okay, so Sports Illustrated, holy smokes, eliminating all their jobs. Okay. Amazon, it looks like they may be expanding into the NBA, and I'm a little concerned that there's going to be more of this pay-per-view type situation, sort of like, when they had the Chiefs-Dolphins game.
Yeah, the playoff game on pay-per-view, which nobody I know paid to see it.
Yeah, I wonder, I don't know what the statistics were on that.
I hope terrible.
I mean, me too, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to make a prediction. Now, this is, we're recording this on Tuesday before the 49ers play Detroit. So I'm going to predict that the Super Bowl is going to be the Ravens and the 49ers again. Ooh. And unfortunately, I think the Ravens are going to beat us 34-13. So I'm throwing that out there now. Do you have any predictions?
Yeah, I predict that if the 49ers win 175-0 against Detroit, there's still going to be people saying that Brock Purdy is a game manager and not a good quarterback, and that there have already been people like all week long saying that Brock Purdy doesn't deserve any accolades, and he's a system quarterback, and he didn't look good against the Green Bay Packers. He's not worth being in the discussion of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes.
Well, yeah, I've got a little issue with that. I think he's actually, I think he's better than Goff, even though Goff is our local hometown guy here. Hey, you know what? Let's cut to our break. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Russell Jackman. Before we cut off to the break, we were starting to talk about Brock Purdy.
Brock is the Rodney Dangerfield of professional football. He gets no respect, and it doesn't matter what he does or the fact that he's 20-5 in the last two seasons. He didn't look good on, what was it, Christmas night? That he did not look good. And then, the three losses in a row, there were times when I was a little concerned. We had another Garoppolo situation, but I think he's going to be fine. He looks like he's 13 years old, and I think that's probably part of it. But he's definitely showing some points. I mean, what is this? Is like his second year? It really is. I mean, I think he's only played 20 full games as a quarterback.
But you know what? I think the important thing is that I think his team is behind him. That's really important when you get the confidence of your teammates.
And Joe Montana didn't win every game 150-0. There were times that Joe Montana struggled. A lot of people forget that in the NFC Championship game against Dallas, he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
But he made the one that mattered.
Yeah. So much of this is the front line. It's like when Jared Goff has a lot of protection, I think like any decent quarterback, if they have a lot of protection, they're going to look good.
You look at Mark Rippon. Mark Rippon was the perfect example of that. He, for the Washington Redskins, he only got sacked, I think, 4 times in the season that he won the Super Bowl.
I did not know that. See, that's a very good point.
And his offensive line was absolutely phenomenal. Once the offensive line the next year didn't have the same efficacy, Mark Rippon went from being a Super Bowl winning quarterback to being a footnote in the NFL.
Gotcha. And I think didn't Art Monk, wasn't he one of his receivers?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So when you have a Hall of Fame receiver, that kind of helps too. And same thing, like, and again, nothing to take away from Joe Montana, but when you have Jerry Rice on your team, that can that can help quite a bit. But
But I
look at
don't think
the
it's the thing is, as a quarterback, you have to know how to utilize the talent that's in front of you, and it's not just saying, "Well, okay, we gave you a bunch of talent, you'll automatically be great." I mean,
yeah,
there are plenty of quarterbacks in the NFL who have decent talent around them. Look at Herbert for the
San
Chargers.
Diego.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
LA.
yeah,
He continues to underachieve, despite everyone
yeah,
saying he's the next great quarterback. Brock
yeah,
Purdy is doing what Herbert never
Herbert,
has done. And yet I
yeah.
think there's a lot of people that are kind of either both jealous or
Mhm.
underestimating what Brock is capable of doing.
Well, also
And
he's not that tall, and that's why he gets a lot of balls batted down. But I like when they do the replay and they show from behind the quarterback, like basically what he's looking at. And if you think about it, you're looking at 3 or 4 potential receivers, and then you get these guys rushing at you. I mean, you're gonna have
right.
eyes in the back of your head. I
It's
mean,
really
it's so
to
talented.
not get knocked around like that is really something else. And I think also I want to see the Niners line step up, defensive line step up defensively. We didn't get a single
Yeah,
sack this weekend against Love in Green Bay, and I think
yeah.
Green Bay has a lot to be proud of with that performance, and they
Oh
have
yeah.
themselves a quarterback. I think they are now patting themselves on the back instead of the disaster that is the human being known as Aaron Rodgers. They have themselves. And Aaron Rodgers can't, focus on football right now. He's so busy trying to get in a war with Jimmy Kimmel that
Oh
he's
yeah.
not, focused on getting. And he even had the ridiculous statement of saying that he was going to come back this year from an Achilles tear.
At
And
his age, that's quite
yeah,
challenging.
and of course he
Yeah.
didn't. And he just,
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but Aaron Rodgers is absolutely full of crap. He's someone that just talks out of his butt and doesn't often know what the hell he's saying. And people are finally catching up to that.
Well, you think he's still going to get in the Hall of Fame, though, don't you?
I don't.
Really?
Right now,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't vote for him to be in the Hall of Fame. I
huh?
don't think he's had a Hall of Fame career. He had his one Super Bowl win to
Yeah.
his credit, one
Yeah.
other appearance, and the rest have been real underachieving. And this Jets thing isn't going to help him. His experience
Yeah.
on the
No, going to
Jets
the
doesn't
yeah,
help him.
they going to the Jets didn't really. Going back to Brock Purdy for just a minute. So looking at the earnings, Lamar Jackson is apparently are going to earn $80 million this year, and Brock Purdy 870,000.
Right? That's
Can you
what
believe that?
really
100
being the.
times.
But in doing so, he has allowed the Niners to assemble a much greater team around
True.
him
Yeah.
because he's not eating up the salary cap. And
No, that's
if
true.
he wins the Super Bowl or whatever, he's going to get endorsements that will make up for the
Good point.
$800,000. He'll probably get
Good
like
point.
10-20 million dollars in commercial stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't worry about Brock, not being able to feed his family on $800,000 a year.
Now, what do you? It's funny. I was thinking. You were talking about the defensive line, and I started thinking about our secondary, and because we're here in San Francisco Bay Area, and I get very nervous. I don't think our secondary is very good. I know people talk about how good a couple of those guys are, but I don't know. I see them with the pass interference calls and the missed
Well,
assignments.
a lot of
I don't
it
know.
has to do with the pass rush not being effective last week.
Yeah,
It's
good point.
one of these dichotomy things that if you have a great pass rush, all of a sudden you have a fantastic secondary because the quarterback is being forced to throw in 3 seconds instead of
Yeah,
5-10 seconds. And if
good
he
point.
has to rush his throws, suddenly your secondary looks a lot more powerful. If the guy has 5 to 6 seconds to throw or 10 seconds to throw and can scramble and roll around and doesn't have the fear of being tackled, he can find the guy that's open no matter how good your secondary is.
Yeah, no, that's good because you get the offensive players always kind of know where they're going to go, Defense has to just
Bosa didn't get a sack. Hargrove didn't get a sack. Chase Young didn't get a sack. And that's, Armstead didn't get a sack. We need those guys this week to step up and hit Goff. Yes, it is tough to root against a guy from my own hometown here in Nevada.
Sure.
It is tough to root against that. But as soon as you go up against the red and gold, you're my enemy. Unfortunately, I don't have a second favorite team.
And you don't necessarily have to get a sack if you have enough of pass rushing to disrupt what's going on.
Yeah,
that'll be as effective.
But I do think that you need to hit the quarterback a couple times to put the fear into him and make him apprehensive. I go back to the 49ers days of when we played against Jim Everett. And Jim Everett was the perfect example of that. If you hit Jim Everett early, his confidence was lost and he started making terrible decisions. If you let him stay in the game, Jim Everett was a fantastic quarterback when he was on his game and almost as good as Joe Montana. But the difference between the Rams and the 49ers was their defense.
It's interesting too. I was thinking about when you said that, the same thing with like these receivers who, when they know they're going to get hit, a lot of times the ball just goes right through their hands, or they'll be looking at going upfield before they actually catch the ball, and they'll just be dropping it. Hey, tell you what, we're going to go to our first trivia question, which is we're talking the NBA. This one actually is kind of, to me, this one's kind of hard. Okay, which team is the only team to defeat the Celtics at Boston, i.e. the Madison Square Garden, during the 1985-86 season? There was only one team apparently that beat the Celtics in their home court. Yeah, I thought. Sorry about that. This one's kind of hard.
That is a pretty good one, but no, that's a good question.
The other two, I think you're gonna relax and enjoy the question, because I think you'll get it right. Okay, but this is our hard question here. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question on the NBA. Which team is the only team to defeat the Celtics at Boston, Madison Square Garden, during the 1985-86 season?
That is really tough. They were 40-1 and definitely one of the greatest home teams of all time. I'm going to just somehow in the back of my head, I think it's Washington.
No? It's it would be someone not in their division.
Not in their division. Was it LA? Was it the Lakers?
No, it was the Portland Trail Blazers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I
love stuff.
That's really coming out there, but that was that's a good trivia question because.
Well, I figured just like you talked about Jim Everett, the idea is to hit you hard with the first one to make your confidence go down. But I know you get the next one. So
now the NBA number for today is 70.
Oh, for Joel Embiid.
70 points last night.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That is really incredible. And he set a Philadelphia 76ers scoring record, not a Philadelphia scoring record, but because
that's right. He was with the Warriors. That's right. We'll change that. It was the Philadelphia Warriors back then.
But he beat out Wilt Chamberlain's 76ers record of 68 points.
Yes. Yeah. And when you have someone like Wemby who, could block shots, apparently 1 7-footer over another.
Did not deter him. I think Wemby's kind of been a disappointment to me.
Yeah.
He's not been what I think he is not the next Tim Duncan right now. I mean,
Gotcha.
He has a long way to go. He's young. There's a lot he can learn. But the natural talent, I think I'd rather go with Chet Holmgren over Chet Holmes on Oklahoma City over Webb Mignogna right now. Chet.
He's really young. Yeah, but you know what I love is I actually enjoy this is the fact that like Jokic and all that, you get these guys 7-footers who are making these 3-pointers. I like that. They're showing their versatility.
it's scary because it means that you have to, honor them from a distance, and that you can't, just play them down low and leave them open up top.
Exactly,
So
like Looney. It's like with Looney, they never have to worry about him.
yeah, no. Well,
Yeah,
unfortunately with Looney, you don't have to worry about anything this season.
I know.
He's been a complete non-factor, which has
Yeah.
been one of the things that have hurt the Warriors. The other number, what another record was set yesterday. Another thing that had never happened, or no, it had happened in the history of the NBA, but only like 4 times. What also occurred yesterday in the
Was
NBA?
it still with that same game?
It involves that game, and it involves another game. It involves the Minnesota game.
Well, is it something to do with how many block shots or how?
No,
No, go ahead.
no, it's that Carl Anthony Towns scored over 60 points. And it's the first time, or it's the first time in like maybe like about 40 or 50 years that the NBA had 2 guys score over 60 in the same night.
Yeah, it's amazing too because I mean, these guys they're playing against other professionals. It's not like they're playing against junior high kids.
No, but to score
Yeah.
70, and Carl Anthony Towns shot 10 for 15 from the 3-point range.
That's incredible.
It's getting
That
to the
is
point where guys are getting are have higher percentages from 3-point range than they do from 2-point range.
Well, it's those mid-range jumpers that are tough.
Yeah, but it's when if you look back to like 83, 84 or something like that, a great 3-point percentage guy shot maybe 2 or 3 3-pointers and made 1 or 2 of them, and that was you had people leading the NBA shooting and 3-point shots as maybe like 5 to 10% of their shots. Now,
it wasn't emphasized.
Now you see guys shooting 80% of their shots from 3-point range.
Well, and I understand it because if you only have to make half those shots compared to the 2-pointers in order for you to
it's
be
really
better.
But I mean that statistic, I mean that number reality was always there for even from the ABA days. But
it's
now,
just that I just think they're more talented now.
and
they're
the
practicing
focus
more.
is on guys shooting 3-pointers. Steph Curry and company have really, have proven that if you have your 3-point shot going down, you're going to win games. And so you have a guy like Carl Anthony Towns, who's a legit center, shooting 10 for 15, 30 of his points of his 60 came from outside the 3-point line.
Well, what's more amazing is just having a 67% percentage.
Yeah, it is, and we're going to see guys.
That's pretty amazing.
I think we may wind up seeing guys, averaging 50 to 60% from 3-point range before too long.
Hey, you practice enough, it's going to happen. Hey, really quickly, the Buffalo Bills had asked the locals to shovel snow for $20 an hour at the stadium. So a couple of things. One, if it rains a lot here in California for the Niners Lions game, are they going to pay people to wipe the seats off?
Well, we have sunshine right now, so I hope that's not the case. But there isn't a lot of cover at Levi Stadium. I was just there, and there's not a lot of overhangs or anything like that. So that's a lot of seats that are going to need to be wiped off.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at the weather report, and there's only a 10% chance. It looks like it's going to be sunshine and Saturday too, so things should dry up. So that'll be good. I like when I mean, it's kind of fun to watch a game that's like in the frozen tundra type thing, but then it kind of takes away from the skills.
There was a ton of rain in Saturday's game. Saturday it rained like crazy. Yeah. And it didn't affect, it was interesting because in the early days of Levi Stadium, there was a lot of criticism about the condition of the field. Yeah. And that it was constantly having, and they replaced the field, I think, 2 times. They completely tore it out and added and put in different grass and different drainage systems and all this other stuff. And when I was there and watching the game on Saturday, the field looked like it stayed in really good shape. You didn't see a lot of guys covered in mud You didn't see a lot of guys with really dirty uniforms and
Oh, that's
sloppy,
true.
what you say, a
Yeah.
sloppy track.
So, wait a minute. Did you actually go to the game?
No, no, that's why
Oh, you're just watching on
I'm
TV.
able to
Gotcha.
talk to you today. If I went to the game, I'd probably be talking like this. I'd probably be talking like this at the show because my
Yeah.
voice would probably be gone. Plus, no offense to the people that went, but COVID is still a thing, and I think sitting in 4 hours worth of constant rain pouring with
Yeah.
60,000 people, most of whom are shouting and breathing right on your
Yeah.
neck. I think that's a formula for COVID, personally. So,
or any other kind of sickness, the
yeah,
plague.
exactly.
Too.
I'm glad I stayed home.
So it's funny, and you being the attorney, I'm kind of curious about this. So the Buffalo Bills again asking the locals to shovel snow for $20 an hour at the stadium. I got to think that they had to sign something about like
Yes.
some waiver in case they got hurt, workers' comp insurance. Or
Oh,
something.
sure, absolutely. But think about this: if you hang out, if you hang out and shovel snow, and maybe like hide in the bathroom overnight, you get yourself a free ticket to the game.
Well, is that what they? Because I saw a little clip on like you can watch them like it's one of those sped up clips.
Yeah,
and it was really kind of neat to see them shovel it. Was it the night before that they did it?
well, I think so, or maybe they brought him in the morning. But
Morning, yeah.
Go hide in the bathroom or something like that. Where after you're done the snow shoveling and you got yourself a ticket to the game.
Wow. Hey, one last thing I want to bring up before we have to go to break. What's with the Warrior fans booing their beloved team at home?
Even Steph Curry said I would boo my own team.
I
The Warriors
appreciate the
are in
honesty.
very difficult shape, especially with the loss of their assistant.
Yeah.
He was 46 years old, and heart attack from out of nowhere. It's, I think, everybody's worst nightmare. He
Yeah.
leaves behind 2 kids, and the Warriors were already teetering, and they haven't had a game now in almost a week. And
that kind of I mean, and again, not trying to be unemotional here, but I was really surprised that they canceled or rescheduled the games. I mean, it's not like when DeMar Hamlin got hurt. I mean, he was like almost dead, on the field, and that really kind of shook everybody up, and they decided, this is too difficult to play. Of course, the interesting thing is the Lions player back in the 60s, or maybe it was the 50s. Was it 60s or 50s? Chuck somebody died on the field, and they basically there was only a minute left to go, so they just kind of pushed him off to the side and tried to revive him while the game continued. Of course, that was back then when nobody had any feelings.
But the problem is the Warriors are going to have to pay the price for this later on in the season, as they're going to probably have to shove the games into back-to-back situation for the Warriors. They are not playing till tomorrow, and that means that the Warriors, it could do one of two things. It either is going to destroy them and their ego and their emotions are going to just overtake them, with all of the loss, all the adversity, or they rally around. They've used this week to rally the troops around and find a way to solidify themselves.
Yeah. Hey, Russell, quick question. We're going to the break here. Which NBA team has made the most appearances in the finals? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Our second trivia question. Which NBA team has made the most appearances in the finals?
I think with 2022, I think Boston moved ahead of the Lakers, but maybe not.
Okay, so you know what? You may have gotten me on that one because I had the Lakers at 32 appearances, but this question may be a couple of years old.
Yeah, because I think that that either Boston or LA are tied, or I think Boston may have moved ahead of LA with the 2022 appearance.
You know what? You could be right, because again, I don't know how old this question is. Son of a gun. I should have looked it up on another website. So we'll give you credit for that. How's that?
Okay.
We'll give you bonus points because you got it's either we knew it was going to be either the Lakers or the Celtics, but we'll give you bonus points on that one.
Yes.
And,
thanks.
And now the next question I think you'll enjoy because I think you'll get this one. But anyway, so okay, so the Bills Chiefs game, the missing of the field goal. I mean, you could see the flags flying to the right, and boy, I tell you, didn't that remind you of Scott Norwood?
I didn't think the flags were moving to the right. I thought that there was very little wind when I looked at it. I thought that the flags on top of the goalpost were fluttering a little bit, but I don't think wind was a factor.
Well, yeah, kind of looked like he sort of shanked it a little bit, but I mean, they were. Let's put it this way: it looked like the wind was stronger, and then it died down a little bit. So yeah, it kind of difficult. And
it's your home field. It's your home field.
Yeah,
so
you got to know that. But didn't that remind you?
Missed field goals were a gigantic part of Saturday and Sunday's games.
Yeah.
The 49ers missed a field goal. Green Bay missed a huge field goal.
Yeah.
At 41 yards.
Yes. That would have tied the game.
Tampa Bay missed a field goal, and then you point out that Buffalo did.
Did Detroit miss a field goal too?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Okay. But boy, I tell you, I really felt bad for that Bills kicker because again, it just I'm sure other people were thinking the same thing. The 1991 Super Bowl to the Giants. It's funny. The Bills get in 4 years in a row back then. This was the first year of that 4-year run, and they lose because they lost the Giants and the Washington Redskins and then twice to Dallas. And that was the closest they came. Was that game was the first one.
Right. Yeah, no. In fact, that's one of the 2 Super Bowls that I haven't watched, which was the second one between the Bills and Dallas. I just couldn't take it.
Kind of a repeat.
There were only two Super Bowls I refused to watch because the matchups were so awful. One was the 79 Rams against Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
So I was already sick and tired of
Ferragamo.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, Ferragamo. I was sick and tired of Pittsburgh at that time. Pittsburgh had won, 3 Super Bowls. That was their 4th Super Bowl. And I was just like, I've had enough of that. And I knew Ferragamo wasn't going to beat them. And
I know. That was when I was really rooting for the underdog on that one. But it just...
for the second Bills Dallas game, I purposely went and visited my grandmother out in Rossmore. And
yes, but but the problem was she was watching the game, so you had to watch it.
No, not in the entirety of that entire retirement complex. Not one person was watching the game. They didn't have any clue or care about that football game. I was like, here's where I can go where no one's going to talk about Dallas. And thank God for that.
You know what's funny? The only game I remember specifically kind of just like going, you know what? I just, for some reason, didn't care. And I went ahead and just did stuff around the house was the Ravens Giants back in 2000, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. For some reason, I don't know what it was. Is that, I mean, every year I really get into it. No matter what teams.
Wasn't a very compelling matchup. That's the one where Trent Dilfer won, right?
No, I think the Ravens beat the Giants.
So I'm saying
was Dilfer with the Ravens then? Yeah, I guess he was.
I think so.
Yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine played for Santa Clara as a tight end under Trent Dilfer. They were on the same team, same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
No. Now the Seattle-Denver game where Denver started out just fumbling the ball.
Yes.
And that
safety.
While I watched that one, I can say that I watched it. I will say that by halftime, I had given up on the game and I was paying
and you know what's interesting is literally from the opening drive, it just seemed like Peyton Manning just kind of said, you know what, I surrender. I know we're going to lose this game. It sure seemed, didn't it seem like that?
It is one of the rare times that I've seen a quarterback quit on his team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Elway didn't quit on
True.
Denver when the 49ers just, drubbed them 55-10.
Yeah.
He didn't quit though. He was crying almost on the
Yeah.
sideline, but he didn't
Well,
quit.
I think he realized that at some point he was going to beat Green Bay. Uh, with his helicopter touchdown. Hey,
Yeah.
going back here for a minute. Okay, so Nick Saban leaves Alabama, and now apparently a 5-star quarterback leaves Alabama for Ohio State. I mean, what your coach leaves, and then suddenly everyone just starts fleeing the deck. Yeah.
I am kind of hoping that we don't hear about Alabama for another 20 or 30 years.
Well, me too. It's been a little too much, but
we've had enough of them. They've been in our face for a long time. They've achieved the greatness we want to achieve, and it's time for some other college to step up. But I hope it's not Michigan. By the way, did you hear what Michigan did to try to keep Jim Harbaugh?
No, because I know he's looking at potentially going back into the NFL. What do they want?
They offered him an opposite of a morals clause. They offered him an immorality clause. They basically said that his money would be guaranteed. They offered him $16 million a year, that he would get guaranteed, even if he were busted for cheating again or did anything illegal, even if he gets sentenced to prison, even if he's caught on TV cannibalizing one of his students, he's still going to get his money.
Interesting. So that's probably the first time that there's ever been an immorality clause.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of an ironclad guaranteed you're going to get your money. You could be, you could go on a murderous rampage on campus and we'll still give you your money. They really want to make him a god of football. And
wow. I mean, besides the cheating scandal, which again, I'm not trying to demonize or lessen it. Was there anything else that? Well, no, but I mean, I was just saying, was there anything else? Like, is he accused of being domestic violence, or does he have that kind of proclivity?
No, he's not. But given the fact that they're saying that you can do whatever you want, we just want you as coach so badly that we'll pay you no matter what you do, no matter how badly you act as a human being. We're still willing to keep you there. Is really that's like the girlfriend that just says, I don't care if you cheat, I don't care if you gamble, I don't care if you drink, just as long as you say I'm still your girlfriend. That's all I care about right now.
Okay, which kind of sort of a little bit segues into something else I wanted to bring up. So the Baseball Hall of Fame. So Omar Vizquel, he's arguably worthy of Hall of Fame, contention or consideration. Now, some writers stopped voting for him after a domestic abuse violation surfaced. So, we're talking about the morality clause and all that, and this is always kind of a tough one because, and obviously I don't condone domestic violence, right? But how much stuff that happens off the field affects how you're voted, what you did on the field?
I mean, with the Baseball Hall of Fame, maybe 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Football Hall of Fame or NBA Hall of Fame.
No, I don't think football cares all that much. Football really does just care about what you do on the field. But I think with baseball, it's the opposite. They almost care more about what you've done off the field than they do on the field these days.
Well, only if it's bad. I mean, if you do something really good, they don't really,
No, exactly. If you've done something bad, then baseball will punish you forever. Although, they've never done anything about Ty Cobb. He was, a super jerk to everybody.
And what's interesting though, if on the field, Ty Cobb was, considered a little bit of a dirty player, with the filing of his spikes and all that. But apparently off the field, he wasn't as bad. I mean, a lot of players didn't really care for him because of his attitude, but he wasn't quite the evil person, not like Cap Anson, who purposely tried to keep black players from playing in the in Major League Baseball after Fleetwood Walker. Yeah, it's weird. You look back at some of the stuff that is really about Ty Cobb, and his off the field stuff is really not quite as bad as you think it is.
I wasn't there, so I can't really attest to what he's. But I think the Baseball Hall of Fame, they find whatever reason they can to keep you out, and you're out.
Okay.
That's there's a very thin line to be able to qualify for the Hall of Fame. I'm just hoping Buster Posey gets in. I'm not sure he will, but I think he deserves it.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't remember from his defensive statistics. How many guys he threw out at second base and that sort of thing. But definitely, hitting wise, he, all around good player for sure. And that's the thing is,
and we don't win 3 World Series without him.
No, absolutely. So, that's definitely worthy. I wonder too. It's like when you look back at some of these players who were inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then you go, wait a minute, what were they thinking? I mean, yeah, I guess it was good at the time, but like so much better now, right? You can't really take people out of the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah. No, once you're in, you're in unless they find something
unless you're
terrible.
O.J. Simpson down at USC where they took his stuff off the plate.
Yes. And well, they should have,
Yeah. I don't disagree.
And then I wanted to
to
quickly bring up a couple things because I know we're running towards the end of the show.
Yes.
One is I just wanted to bring up the story of Juice Check's wife. And
what about it?
She designed this jersey that Taylor Swift wore. And now
is that right? I didn't know that.
It's a huge hit. And now everyone is falling all over themselves to have Juice Check's wife design like a jacket that was like also the jersey for Pat Mahomes. So it's like a jacket jersey.
Wait a minute, not for Kelsey?
No. Taylor Swift is with Pat Mahomes.
No. Taylor Swift is with Travis Kelsey.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
She's with Kelsey. So she made a jacket. It's like a jacket, but it looks like a jersey.
Is that the one that's $1,800? Hey, I tell you what.
Yes.
We do have to cut to our break here. Here we go. Who is the only which franchise is the only NBA franchise with multiple final appearances with no losses? All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Here's our third trivia question. Which team is the only active NBA franchise with multiple final appearances with no losses?
Well, I'm thinking of 2 of them because I'm going to say the Houston Rockets.
No, because I think they lost.
Oh yeah, they lost to Boston. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the Detroit Pistons?
No, because they also lost to Boston, I think, or not to Boston. They lost to the Lakers.
They wouldn't face Boston in the
finals.
finals.
No. I think it was the Lakers beat them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did too. Oh, let me. What about Chicago?
Yes, the Bulls.
Chicago, the Bulls. Okay.
Yeah, see, if we had Dave Bullwinkle on here, I'm sure he'd know that was the answer. 6
appearances and no losses. That is pretty impressive, and they haven't been since. That's the other thing too. Is that other than that, and then I quickly wanted to throw out there that my podcast, Wrestling and Everything Coast to Coast, we just recorded my 200th show.
Wow!
Last night, so. People go on. If you're wrestling fans, go and check that out. It's a great show. I have a panel of 5 other hosts with me.
Wow.
That we
an all
right,
give it out one more time, and then we go to our thoughts of the day. What's that website?
It's on Facebook, and it's Wrestling and Everything Coast to Coast.
Very good.
You go there, or you can find it on YouTube.
Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. So I told my doctor I heard buzzing, and he told me, don't worry about it. There's just a bug going around. And I didn't hear anything, Russell. You're supposed to laugh. No, not at that one. Okay.
You can do better.
Yeah, you can do better. Okay. A man sued an airline company after it lost its luggage. Sadly, he lost his case. All right.
Oh,
Tune
okay,
in.
that's better.
You like
That's
that one?
better.
That's a little better. Okay. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.